joined by the one and only beautiful Alina from Southern Florida and the Miami area. I'm glad to have you today so we can talk a little bit about real estate.
Good morning and good afternoon. Nice to see you, Scott.
Thank you. Thank you. So, I was thinking, we've been doing these for a bit, and we've got some different audiences that are reaching in, and both of us are all of us, I should say, because we're also putting this on all of Ted's social media and everything that we're doing on social media for the Real Estate Mortgage Insiders. But there are a lot of people that probably don't know your background and how you got into real estate. And I always think it's interesting to find out how people got to the place that they are in the market, and I have to say, because I don't know exactly how old you are, but you look very young, and
Thank you.
And I know you do a great job with securing some really high-end properties, and I know you're very connected in Miami. And if you don't mind, I think it would be great for the audience to hear, because you are a transplant into the U.S. So can you give us a little bit of your story and how you kind of got here and got into that space? Are you comfortable sharing that?
Of course, Scott. I didn't know that the show will be about me today, but that's what we sell. We don't only sell real estate, we sell
Well,
service,
and it doesn't have to be. So
nothing is more, I always like to say that nothing is more permanent than temporary things. So I never planned to be in real estate. It never was my goal. I wasn't born saying, okay, something is going on with the sound. Okay, I'm back.
Your audio, I don't know if it's bad on my side or bad on your side, but it got really staticky, and then now it's gone, and I'm trying to figure out what's going on. So hold on, audience, for just a moment as we play around with us and figure out what's going on. I don't know.
But how do you? Because you are perfect. You're great.
I don't know. Now, for whatever reason, it's now clear. So whatever you told me, I totally lost. If you don't mind repeating it, then off we go.
Of course. So I like to say that nothing is more permanent in our life than temporary things that we think something is only for a couple of months or a couple of years, and then they become to be permanent. I never planned to be in real estate. I was born and raised in Russia. My goal was to be on TV. Actually, I was a TV journalist in my previous life. On the biggest TV channel in Russia, I was reporting news. And after I moved to the United States, it just happened in Miami, and you're foreign, and you're in this city. That's what you do. You start selling real estate. In Miami, you are model, or you're real estate agent, or what else, or your attorney. I think that's
yeah. There you go. You got all the big ones, right? Yeah.
And it just happened naturally. My ex-husband, I got divorced. My ex-husband and I started investing in the real estate, and that's how we got in the real estate.
Okay.
It was back in 2010. The market was great to buy, but then you have to hold on and wait when the market will bounce back. And while we were waiting, I said, well, what if we start doing vacation rental? And I started doing vacation rental with those properties. I realized how great this industry is, that you can double, triple money comparing to what you would make if you did long-term rent. So we waited for 2 years until the market went up, and I opened my vacation rental company. I started managing the properties. I didn't have a real estate license yet, but it already was first couple purchases and experience in short-term rent. When it was time to sell real estate, because it was a couple of properties, I said, well, I'm going to the license. Now it's time to license. I got the license. And it happened that people that bought all those properties, they were investors as well. They had their own real estate agent, but then they told me, Alina, we want you to manage it. We like the numbers. We want you to manage it. I started managing those properties. And this is how it happened. Then I bought more properties and I kept managing real estate for my clients. And little by little, it just, suck you in and you're there and you look at it, it's been 12 years.
Well, that's awesome because, I mean, so many people almost fall into this space, right? It's really interesting because I think a lot of us that have gotten into it started off as investors, saw the opportunity, and then it's interesting also to see, because I tried for my own journey in, I started in mortgages. I went into the real estate side. I tried that for a period of time, and I'm a numbers guy. I love numbers. I mean, give me a spreadsheet and I'm a happy camper, and that's what I like to play around with. I just realized, you know what, I can do my clients more good on that side than I can do on the real estate side. So that's where I focused. But I mean, I like both sides. I just, there's so much to know on both sides of the business that I had to, choose. So I said, all right, I'll stick to the numbers side and my spreadsheets and all the craziness that I deal with, and I'll go down that pathway. But I fell into it myself. And, I'm obviously a lot older than you, but our time in the industry is really pretty similar because I've been in it now 15 years. I think so. I think I got my license in 2000. It's either 2007 or 2008 is when I got my license and really started.
Oh, right before right before the crash.
Yeah. And I was, I was so heavily into it that I got, I had several different offices with a bunch of loan officers beneath me, right as the real estate market just whoosh. And, but I learned an interesting lesson with that. And the lesson that I learned is that if you're on the owning of the real estate side, even in that crash, if you have enough reserves that you can weather the storm so that you're not forced to sell in a down market, right? And weathering the storm, like really even in California, it only took 6 to 9 months where people had a lot of properties that were for rent and nobody in them and those kinds of things because, eventually the market turns. And all of those people did extraordinarily well. And then that's when I started putting together, you've heard me speak to it a number of times, but I did all of the analysis work on what the long-term returns look like in real estate. And at first, when I looked at those returns, I looked at it as, you buy $1 million property and then you sell it for $1.5 million 5 years later. That's a $500,000 gain. That's the way I did the math. But then I started looking at the return on cash because that $1 million property you're only putting $200,000 down on, right? And then you make that $500,000.
You have to look how much money down you put, and then how much interest you paid. But the beautiful part about real estate, I don't mean to interrupt you, is real estate works for you. It's not like, let's say, investing in a stock and bond and waiting when something is happening. Like, I mean, look, the stock market does the same thing. Eventually, it goes up, even if it crashed.
Right.
But you're sitting and waiting, and not like you're just sitting and waiting, nothing happening. But during all these years, if you bought a right property that can be rented. So, and if you did the math right, and Scott, I absolutely agree with you that numbers is so important. Basically, in real estate, of course, there's some factor, I like it or I don't like it. A lot, they don't even look at the property. If they are pure investors, they just show me the numbers. If the numbers are right, show me the numbers. So if the property is right, and if you did the math correct, sure that you don't have to put anything out of your pocket while you're waiting for the property to go up in value, You just, worst case scenario, you break even. The best case scenario, you generating income while you're waiting for more income to come. And this is the beauty about real estate.
It is. And go ahead.
Also, 90% today's millionaires, dollar millionaires, when I'm not talking about, rob something, dollar millionaires, they made their money in real estate. 90%, only 10% of millionaires somewhere else, which is great. It's probably great business plan, but 90% of people that with the zeros on the bank accounts, it's all real estate. So that's a statistic. A statistic cannot lie. Numbers cannot lie. That's why I like numbers too.
No, you're right. You're right, and that's why I love numbers, right? And because if you dive into them, they really tell a story. It's when you look at numbers, they really tell a story. And I was looking at, there was an article that came out in I think it was Forbes magazine. It was about a couple that's in LA, and collectively they make $225,000 a year. And so if you look at that, that puts them, I think it's in the top 5 percentile of the income earners in LA, right? But because LA real estate is so expensive, they can't afford to purchase a property. Now, what I find really interesting with that is, what a lot of people don't think about is, you don't have to invest where you live, right? So there are places around the country where homes are very inexpensive that you can buy and they will cash flow. And Florida still has opportunities, I think, if you get away from the water, where you can still do quite well at a reasonable price point. What might be unaffordable to them to live in California would be an affordable rental property where you can start building that real estate and do that over time. And eventually you can build up enough capital that you could buy a property in LA if you wanted to, right? Or you just keep multiplying the value of the property in your real estate investment portfolio elsewhere, right?
And there's also a lot of advantages and positive things for investors in Florida when you look at the law and at the first of all, we don't have a state tax. We all know about this. The second of all, Florida LLC in Florida protects your asset. Let's say, for instance, if they want to sue you, and then you have Florida LLC that owns a property in state of Florida, well, they cannot touch it. They can't touch it. They can have judgment against you, but this is under LLC Florida, so it's protected. The other thing is, if it's your primary residence in state of Florida, your primary residence as well, if it's under your name. So there's a lot of things that if you put it together, Florida is a very interesting and positive state to invest. Also, look at the news from California about wealth tax.
Yes. My God.
We're waiting for you. We already have people coming. I'm sure it's going to be more people coming now.
No, I got to tell you, Alina, the moment they pass that, there will be such a mad rush of people out of California. But one of the things politically they're talking about is, even if you move, they want you to continue to pay taxes in California. It'll never pass the Supreme Court, but that's what they're talking about instituting statewide. So it's a little bit crazy here. My investment dollars are going to Florida and other southern states that are on the coast, where I think there's a lot of growth opportunity. But I love the Florida market. I think it's great. And if you look at the demographics, what's happening there, all the people moving in, I think it's a wonderful place to make investments. And I also like in the Florida market, Miami in particular, and some of the others, you've got that intercoastal waterway. So it kind of expands the waterfront properties, right, where you can potentially buy and you can still get to the ocean. And I think that's really cool because it gives people that are at a lower price point an opportunity to still get to the water in a property that's a little bit less expensive if that's what they can afford, right?
Yeah, if you look at Florida, considerably everything is pretty close to the water. You can
Yeah,
live in Miami, let's say for instance, right, I mean, in the middle of Miami, but it's still gonna be 30 minutes drive to the ocean. And
yeah,
that's one positive thing. Is the second positive thing is logistics. So logistically, Miami is located so close to I mean, we're far from California, but if you look
right.
on the East Coast, we're like 3 hour flight from New York. Then you're going to South America, and we have a lot of investors from South America. uh, Again, it's the easiest city to get to most of the countries in South America. And there's so many direct flights to Europe as well, which is about like, from to the most of the countries in Europe, it's like 7-8 hours flight. So I love the location. Then we have a tropical climate, which you
Right.
cannot beat that.
No,
Yes.
it's funny. So I was bi-coastal for years, and one of the things I really don't like about being on the West Coast is if we want to go to Europe, I mean, it's a 5.5 hour flight to get to what would have been my starting point of New York, right? So when you're in Miami or you're in, anywhere on the East Coast, you're so
Yeah.
much closer to Europe, and there's so many wonderful places to visit there. So I think it's a great location. So I jealously think of you in Miami and the experience that you have there. So I think it's such a wonderful place to live, and it's a great place to get into real estate. That's one of the reasons I love to have these discussions with you. So, is there a place? Because I just ate up a whole ton of our time, but is there a place that you want us to talk about today that you want to spend some time talking about?
Well, I definitely wanted to speak about the city that I already spoke about because I just got a list because I just got a listing there. But I will focus on another city. Let me just give a couple words. I just got a new listing. It's a beautiful penthouse in an owned building, Ocean 3, located in Sunny Isles. The
Okay.
beauty part about this penthouse, first of all, it's a 2 level. I mean, my listing is not ready yet because they just signed the listing agreement this morning. It's a two. It's not that easy. You will be surprised by that easy to find a 2-story apartments in Miami.
I believe that can be tough. Yeah.
Question to the developers. Probably it's cheaper to to build 1-story. Maybe there, but I know there's a demand. There are people. I mean, there are people that hate stairs, but there are people that really love this idea of a high ceilings in a living room, have 2-level. Property that you can go and like look downstairs. It's beautiful, and
Yeah.
then you have this ocean front, and once you have a 2-level property, the view is different, believe me or not. So this property, the beauty about this property, you're gonna be like, what? The price is, it's over 5,000 square feet property, 5-bedroom, huge. The price is $3.9 million. You will be like, for oceanfront, you will be like, how is it possible? Well, it's a concrete walls only, but city approved, permit are issued. The contract and the estimate of remodel by the contractor. So we have detailed estimate for the renovation, and it's going to be $1.2 million renovation that the buyer will, take over.
Yeah.
The gorgeous part about this thing, first of all, you can change things before you submitted it. I want a different color of the kitchen. I want a different tile, no problem. And the second of all, it's going to be a fully automated penthouse with smart system, full automation, with high-end technology, with a steam room, increased sauna inside the property. It's gorgeous. I love it. If you and it's a penthouse, So it's right
Right.
there, close, close to the
Yeah,
site.
right at the top. How many stories is the building?
I think it's a 38 floors, and we are on
Okay, so you're up there.
34th.
Yeah.
So we're right there. It's older building, but very well maintained. The building is just went for complete renovation with all special assessments paid in full. New lobby, new pool area. So it's really well maintained and well done. The beautiful part about buying, I mean, I always promote new buildings because of the resale market, and because you don't have to deal with the special assessments. But when the special assessments just was paid in full, and then I know the building very well. Some of the buildings are not maintained well. This building maintained very, very well, and there's a pretty low maintenance fee. So the combination of all these factors make this a great investment or great property for the primary residence. I'm very excited. I wish I could share the pictures. I mean, if you go to my Instagram, you can see it on a story, but I don't know if you can share that or not. But for the next week, I'm definitely going to be ready to show it. We're going to host an open house, hopefully next Sunday, if we're ready by then. And I'm sure this property is going to fly from the market.
Well, if I can't pull it up right now, then let's definitely pull it up next for our next show, and let's show it to people, because I mean it sounds like an exciting property. It really does. Let's see here.
Well, whoever's watching us right now, if we cannot pull it up, you can go to my Instagram at Alina Melodina. And you just go to my stories. You can see there are a couple of pictures, including the sauna steam room, because I love sauna steam room, so I had to put it there. And it's not a lot of condominium. I mean, it's not a lot of apartments that have it inside. Obviously, when you have a full condominium, you have it as part of the gym or part of the amenities, but not inside your own property, right?
No.
So that's my news for the day.
Well, you know what? I love that. I love that.
I'm very excited about.
Well, you know what? I'm not sure if this is if this is it, but yeah, because this doesn't have the concrete walls and so forth. But I love that people can play with it.
But you on my story, like you on Instagram on my stories.
I'm on Instagram. It says Miami with Alina Melodina, AGK.
No, really search for Alina Melodina.
Yeah, Alina Melodina.
That's my Instagram. Go to the stories.
Okay.
You will see it right there.
Okay.
And while we're speaking about this oceanfront property, I already spoke in the previous shows about Sunny Isles and why it's such a unique area. I'll repeat myself because of the listing, and because maybe there are new people that watch us. Sunny Isles has a very unique location, because everything, in our city and any other city, location is one of the most important point. So if you look at Sunny Isles, you will see that on the north part from Sunny Isles is Golden Beach. Golden Beach is one of the richest cities in the world. It has oceanfront single-family houses. That's the only area in Miami that have oceanfront single-family houses. And then you go down, and it's a Bal Harbor, beautiful city, super safe. Has amazing mall, Bal Harbor Mall. People that like, Louis Vuitton, Chanel, and other high-end brands, they know this mall very well. And then if you go on the west side, it's Aventura. Again, beautiful city, very safe, with a great community, has another famous mall, Aventura Mall. And on the east side, it's an ocean. So Sunny Isles is basically secluded by the safest neighborhoods. It doesn't touch bad, weird neighborhoods. So wherever it's very safe. It's a $1 million neighborhood with great schools, with people driving Lamborghinis. And because of this location, and obviously because it's an oceanfront property, it's always was a very desirable investment property for investment and property for in the city for living there.
Right.
That's Sunny Isles. And the Ocean 3, you can search for this condominium. You can look it up. It's right there in the heart of Sunny Isles.
Well,
then we'll have.
This is what we have to do. So I didn't pull it up on the stories correctly, but this is what we'll do. Next week we will make sure that we set aside some time, because I would love to see the walkthrough of that property with the concrete walls and the views and what you've got laid out there. I mean, that sounds amazing. And congratulations to, I should actually say, congratulations to the owner of the property, because you picked a great realtor to work with. But Alina, congratulations to you for locking up the listing. That's awesome. That's really great. I can't wait to hear about how that goes. So, and an open house.
I'll participate with an open house. I'm sure that it's going to be a lot of people that will be interested in what you have to offer. The biggest problem, I believe, especially with international clients, and not only, is to educate them. A lot of them don't even consider mortgages. They don't know, and when you don't know, you're afraid. It's a nature of a person, of any person. I don't know. I don't want to touch it. That's it. Like I don't know.
Yeah, so I don't want to do it. And what do you mean? Somebody could potentially take my home, and all of those things, because they think that, right? And but you're right, because a lot of international, we have, if people that are from this country, they think about buying a home, they think about mortgages. It's automatic. But in a lot of other countries, there's not a well-developed mortgage industry, and people are actually either paying cash or they're getting owner-based financing, and that's it. And it's very, I mean, I know when I was looking at Costa Rica for property down there, you can get loans, but the loans aren't very good, and there's nothing like a 3% down payment. They latch out of the offering environment if you try to put up 3.5%, right? It doesn't exist down there. It's more like 50% down. But you're right. When you're dealing with international clients, you have to know that. And then there's also, depending upon their citizenship status, there are more limits in terms of the programs we can make available to them. One thing I did want to tell you about, and we're going to run out of time here in just a moment. Maybe I'll talk about it a little bit more next week. But if you're dealing with more entry-level properties, there's a lender that we're working with that lends in Florida that for buyers that maybe haven't accumulated a lot of capital for down payments, they'll do FHA loan programs and lend the 3.5% on the FHA loan.
Oh wow, that's extremely interesting. Yeah, that's very interesting.
And you know what I love about that is, and if you reference back to that couple that's in LA, maybe they haven't been able to save any money because they're spending it all just to live, right? But this would be a way that people can get started, because it's all about getting your foot in the door, just the way you did, right? I mean, you got some real estate, you made some money on the real estate, you leveraged it, got more properties, right? And the more we can help people get into the market, the more they'll be able then to get into some of these more beautiful properties, because they can build up the equity balance in the portfolio that allows them to take advantage of opportunities like you've got there. So that's really exciting. But I have to call it today because I got a hard stop right at 10 o'clock because I got to get another call. But as always, I love the conversation with you. Thank you for informing us about what's going on in the market. I look forward to another call next week and actually visually seeing the property. Okay.
Let's do that.
All right.
Have a good day. Yep.
Everybody have a great day. Bye now.
You too. Bye.